Hello everybody, I'm Nate and welcome to the channel. The other day I received in the mail a couple of things I had ordered from Aroundsquare. It had been a minute. Sling Slam had just ended, and by participating in Sling Slam I was able to get a little bit of a discount, and so I thought I'd go and buy a couple of things that I've been saving up for. One of those things was a premium set of MKUltras, and this one here that I got is the Mini Sigmas in titanium. I've been wanting a set like this for a while, but I've just not put the money forward to it. I'd realized I've never really done a dedicated video on this channel about MKUltras, and I've been using them for a number of years now, and so I thought that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go ahead and do a sort of introduction to MKUltras. Maybe you already know a little bit about them, maybe you don't, but for the uninitiated, this is going to be for you, and perhaps even if you are initiated, maybe you'll learn something. All right, so I have a couple of MKUltras that I brought out. I don't own a lot of them. A lot of them do tend to be in the more expensive, especially when you start getting into titanium, and there are exotic metals as well that Aroundsquare offers on their site, and you could really certainly break the bank, and most of those are out of my personal budget. This one here was the first set I got, and I've customized it. They were initially white Delrin, and I've gone ahead and dyed them. So it has sort of this brown sort of scale spectrum on it, and I like that a lot. And it has a boss bead. This is a 15mm boss bead at the end. This is just stainless steel, I believe. And it's got a nice weight to it. And these beads in particular are great for freestyle. And it's a really good gateway into MKUltras if you don't want to spend a couple $100s. And so then I went ahead and purchased these, like I said in the introduction. These are the Mini Sigmas in titanium. These are the machine finish, and they come in a variety of different finishes, just like their Big Larry. So if you're familiar with some of their offerings with titanium, there's all kinds of those options as well. Now both of these are the standard size. They also have long game, which I've owned a long game. I've recently sold that to purchase other things, because that tends to happen with a lot of my skill toys. I just kind of, they go in flux. As I'm looking to something else, I might have to sell something. And so that was one of the things I sold recently. I also have another long game acrylic in the house that I'll show you a picture of right here so you can see for reference. I took the boss bead off of it, and I actually have it on here to kind of make a little custom sort of ending on here. So that's currently in pieces. But I do have those, and so I'm experienced a little bit with some of the long game. As you can kind of imagine, it's just longer. Now, as far as these are concerned, these are meant to be worn on the wrist, okay? If you wish. You don't have to, but you can wear them on the wrist, and it's very functional that way, as even just sort of a luxury piece of jewelry. So if you're into that, I don't wear a lot of jewelry in general other than my wedding band, so that's not where I've generally worn it. I did wear it for a while, just the other day, just to kind of say, hey, do I like that feel? I wore it for a couple hours. I was okay with that. But they also discreetly go in the pocket as well, and really not too bad at all without kind of clinging around, especially if you kind of keep them nice and tight. Now, let's kind of take a couple steps back, and let's talk about the naming of these. So if you go on the Aroundsquare site, you can find all this information, but here we are, okay? So MKUltra. Okay, so the M stands for Mala, which are really, and they sell those, by the way. Aroundsquare does sell Mala beads. They're meant to be more of a bracelet, really not meant for slinging or tricks of any kind. They are great for bead counting maybe, or breath work if you're into those kind of things. So usually for meditation maybe, or for relaxation, or for just anxiety, or what have you, the Malas are great for that. The K stands for Komboloi, which are more for slinging. There's a little bit more of a history there. I would encourage you to maybe look that up, but that's where the M and the K come from, and the Ultra is sort of its own sort of added moniker to make them something completely unique as far as branding. So if you see other companies calling them MKUltras, which I don't believe there are yet, they're really stealing. This is Aroundsquare's sort of branding, and that's what they call these. You might see something similar. Probably they'd be more in Komboloi than they would be MKUltras. But again, these are Aroundsquares, kind of similar to knuckle bones, You can have rollers, but knuckle bones is the technical like trademark name that Aroundsquare has, you know, have taken because they created that in the first place. So MKUltras, there we go. We have the name. We have it figured out. Why would you use these? What would you use these for? I do know that a number of EDC people watch this channel. This is a great EDC piece. If you want to throw that in a bag, if you want to throw it in a pouch, you want to throw it in a pocket, or you wear around the wrist. These are great EDC, and of course the titanium, for those who love titanium like myself, this is a great EDC piece for that, okay? Similar with Big Larry, but maybe even more so with this, you can kind of make it into whatever you want. If you really just want to have a bracelet, if you just want to have something that you can do bead counting with, or you can do something where you have, you know, what we call raindrops, right? Where you're just kind of just fidgeting almost with it, right? That can be very calming and relaxing as well, and even meditative in many ways. Or you can kind of shorten it up, like I said, and do bead counting, which I've done before as well, and kind of even use it in a even spiritual sense for prayer beads or what have you. Again, you can kind of make it whatever you want. Or, as what I usually use them for, is for slinging. Now, particularly with the Sigmas here, I got these because the weight and the bead shape and all these other things really kind of feel like you're almost slinging Big Larry. Now, I did add a bead here. It came with the 11.8 millimeter bead here, all right, a titanium one. I had a 15 millimeter bead, and it was suggested to me to throw them on. He did this, Matt did this with the Chef Special, which is like a monthly, you know, whatever he puts out, whatever he wants to, as the name implies. And one of the times he put out a long game Sigma set like this with both these beads on here. And somebody suggested that on Instagram, and I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. So I actually just slung these up this morning like this, and I was like, ooh, that's perfect. It adds a little bit more weight and, of course, more grip as well. So if you want to be playing just kind of like boss bead playing, you could do a lot more with it, I think, with that extra bead added to it. It gives more grip, and I can almost actually do, I can almost do rolls with that. I like that feel a lot. And again, these are kind of customizable. You can kind of make the length as well, however you want. The cord on this is their custom Kevlar cord. You could also use their silk cord, or you could use anything else really that you like. These are 3.5 millimeter bores on these, so keep that in mind as far as what cord you want. You do want them to be able to slide well. It depends on what MKUltra set you have, but again, particularly with these mini Sigmas, they do have a little bit more of Big Larry sort of feel to them as far as weight, and they're a good size. Some of their MKUltras are a lot heavier than these ones are, so I like the weight quite a bit. But it kind of depends on what you want them for. If you want to do a lot of raindrops and bead counting, you might want a larger bead. They have that as an offering. But if you want a set that might be ideal for, you know, that kind of Big Larry crossover into these, and you can kind of use a lot of maybe your Big Larry sort of trick portfolio into these, you might like these quite a bit. There you go, folks. That's a very brief introduction to MKUltras from Aroundsquare. Definitely check out Aroundsquare for more information. See their whole catalog of all the different offerings. If, again, you want to spend a lot of money on these, you can. If you want to get a good introduction, I would highly recommend maybe some of the Delrin or other materials like that aren't going to necessarily break the bank for you. But if you are wanting a set that feels a little bit more like Big Larry slinging, I would highly recommend the mini Sigmas here in titanium. Love it. This is going to be a go-to set for sure. That's going to do it for now. If you like this kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, and all that stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Later.